Hi everyone, welcome to Yoga with Heini. I'm Heini and today we're going to do something different. There's more and more people joining in the channel, so I wanted to offer all of you a full-length class. We're going to do a dynamic yoga practice focusing on strengthening and releasing around the hips. You don't need any props for the practice, just yourself and your mat, your practice space. Let's get started. We're going to start our practice from lying down today. So on your mat, in your practice space, come lie down and find a comfortable, easy pose where you feel you could take a moment to rest and let yourself arrive onto the mat into your practice. So maybe extending the legs, so coming down into Shavasana pose. If that doesn't feel comfortable in the hips or in the lower back, feel free to bend the knees. Maybe lean the knees towards each other like a pyramid pose. Or if you'd rather now start rotating the hips open, you could come into a butterfly pose. Just keep it gentle. Try to find a pose where you can relax, where you feel you could rest a moment. And then once you have found a place for the legs, if you want, you could bring your hands to your lowest ribs. So hands resting on the bottom of the rib cage. And then give yourself a few slightly deeper breaths in and out. Few times inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Take one more deeper breath in and out. Then let your breathing calm down. Let the size of your breathing calm down. Continue to breathe down to your hands, to your lowest ribs, to your upper abdomen. Maybe close the mouth. Continue inhaling, exhaling through the nose. Give yourself a moment to find an easy, calm rhythm in your own breath. Most importantly, in our practice, focus on ease of breathing. If in any pose you find yourself struggling to breathe, then let yourself come out from the pose. Take a moment in a resting pose like lying down or child's pose and focus on the breath before continuing with the movements, with the poses. So always let your breathing stay easy and calm. We'll take another few breaths here. Let yourself notice how your hips, that whole pelvic area, feel today. If there's tension, if there's tightness you would like to release today, let that be a focus in your practice. At the same time, we are going to create some strength around the hips, the pelvis, the lower back. And that might create a sense of ease as well, when there's strength to support the joints, to support the movements. And then when you feel you'd be ready to start moving, if you still have your hands down on your ribs, let the hands and arms come down next to your sides. And then step your feet onto the mat about hip width apart, or they could be a bit wider. We're going to come into some bridge movements first. And first take a slightly deeper breath in. And then as you exhale, press down through the feet and start to lift your pelvis, lift your back off the mat, opening the front of the hips. Inhale up in your bridge pose. And then exhale, slowly release the back, release the pelvis back down. And inhale down on the mat. Let your buttocks soften. We'll do the same again. As you exhale again, press down through the feet, peeling the pelvis, the back off the mat, maybe lifting the chest bone a bit higher up as well. Inhale up in your bridge. And exhale again, slowly come back down. Release the back, release the pelvis down. Inhale down on the mat. We'll do this one more time. So with your exhalation, press down through the feet, lift the pelvis, lift the back off the mat. And I will stay here just a bit longer. If you want, you might walk your shoulder blades a bit closer together. You might even interlock fingers, bring hands together under the pelvis. And keep gently pressing down through both feet. Take another breath in and out. And then exhale, slowly release the pose, release the arms, the back, bring the pelvis down. And then hug your knees into the chest and maybe a few times rock from side to side. A bit like massaging the lower back onto the mat. Let your shoulders stay soft. And then allow that rocking movement to calm down. We're going to now hold on to the right leg and extend the left leg all the way down to the mat. And either hold or can support that right leg with your both hands, or maybe just the right hand resting on the knee. And we'll start to circle the right hip. And the movement doesn't need to be very big, but try to keep those circles smooth. Looking for gentle movement around the right hip. And after a few circles one way, change the direction. Trying to still keep the shoulders soft. So even if you're supporting the leg with your hands, don't let the shoulders tense. One more circle. And then from that last circle, bring your right knee towards the right armpit. We'll come into half happy baby. So now reach your right hand either to your right foot or ankle, or hold the back of the knee. And you could keep your knee fully bent, or inhale, lift the sole of the foot, the right foot, up towards the ceiling. So starting to open through the inside and back side of that right leg. And if that's a really intense sensation, I suggest bending the left knee, so you step your left foot onto the mat. And you could still move that right leg here. Maybe you're rocking a bit from side to side, maybe straightening and bending that right knee more. Take another breath in and out in your half happy baby. And then exhale, bend that right knee, close the right hip, And from here, bring your left knee towards the chest as well. Hug both knees in. And then hold on to that left leg and extend your right leg all the way down to the mat. And we'll do these movements on the other side. So now we start to circle the left hip. Again, maybe the left hand or maybe both hands around the knee. And just thinking of that smooth circle. It might feel different on the second side, and that's very fine. Again, after a few circles one way, change the direction. And check that you are breathing here. So we don't start to hold the breath when we're focusing on the movements. We keep breathing in and out. And let's do one more circle. And then from that last circle, now bring the left knee towards the left armpit. And again, we'll come into the half happy baby. So you could reach your left hand to the left foot, ankle, or maybe behind the knee. And then if you want, start to slowly lift the left foot, the sole of the foot, up towards the ceiling. And you can keep the right leg extended if you want. Or you could bend your right knee, so you step the foot on the mat. And that might just create a bit more space for that left leg to move. Again, you might bend and straighten the left leg a bit. You might rock the whole pelvis from side to side. We're very early in the practice, so we're just kind of saying hello to the hips. How are they feeling today? Take another breath in and out in your half happy baby. And then exhale, slowly bend that left knee, close the left hip, and now step your both feet onto the mat. You could open arms back out to the sides, or maybe it's the first time actually they come out to the sides. And we're going to swing the legs a few times from side to side. Windshield wipers movement. Just gentle rocking, swinging from side to side, or it could be a bigger movement if you feel like moving more. You could also rock your head from side to side. And then from those swings, bring your knees all the way down to the right side of the mat and curl in onto your right side. Pause there to breathe in and out. And then bring yourself up onto all fours. Bring your hands about under your shoulders, knees about under your hips. And we're going to come into some cat-cows with a moving tail. So first, lengthen your left leg behind you and lift the left leg up into the air. Inhale there to open the chest. And then as you exhale, round your back and draw the left knee towards the chest. You can bring head down towards the knee. Inhale again, lengthen the left leg behind you, open the chest. Same again, as you exhale, round your back and draw your left knee in. Again, you can bring head towards the knee. Inhale again, send the left leg back, opening the chest, maybe a small back bend. Once more, exhale, bring your left knee in, rounding the back. And inhale, lengthen the left leg behind you, open the chest. And now you could either stay here with both hands on the mat, or if you want to balance more, lift your right hand off the mat and reach it behind you. Or the very last option, if you want, bend the left knee and reach your right hand to that left foot. And then you could even use that leg to open the chest a bit more. Now find a pose, find an edge where you feel you can breathe, you can balance. Take another breath in and out. And then as you exhale, slowly bring that left knee, bring your hand back down to the mat. And now round the back into child's pose. And let your hands rest a bit. If you want, you could circle your wrist joints in this child's pose for a few breaths. Or maybe just rest them down. Lean your head down and breathe in and out. And then as you inhale, bring yourself back onto hands and knees. Before we do those cat-cows to the other side, tuck your toes under and lift the pelvis up into downward facing dog. And here, let your feet, let your hips move a bit. You could think about wagging the tail. So if you're a dog, you're wagging the tail, moving the hips, the pelvis from side to side, and bending, straightening the knees. You can also shake the head a bit from side to side, so release the neck. And take a couple more breaths in and out. You could keep your knees a bit bent in downward dog and really trying to find that reach up and away from the hands through the pelvis. Take another breath in. And then as you exhale, bring your both knees back to the mat. And we're back on all fours. We'll come into those cat-cows on the other side. So now we're going to move the right leg. First, lengthen your right leg behind you and then lift the right leg off the mat. And inhale here, open the chest, and then exhale, round your back. Draw your right knee in. You can push the mat away, bring head towards the right knee. And inhale, send the right leg back again, opening the chest. Same 2 more times with your exhalation, round the back. So you're creating space for the knee to come in. And then inhale, open the chest, reach your right foot away from your head. 1 more time, exhale, round the back and bring your knee in, the right knee in towards the chest. And inhale, lengthen the right leg behind you. And then we'll stay here. We'll either keep that right leg extended, both hands on the mat. Or if you want to balance more, lift your left hand off the mat and reach the left arm next to your left side. Or then we have that last option, that tiger pose, where you could bend the right knee and then reach left hand to the right foot. And here, wobbling is very fine. We are balancing. Just keep breathing, maybe breathing more to the chest. Take another breath in and out. And then exhale, slowly, slowly. Bring your knee, bring your hand back to the mat. And we'll come back into child's pose. Maybe this time open the legs a bit wider apart. So it's a wide-legged child's pose. You can rock the hips, the pelvis a bit from side to side and let your chest, your head come down. If you want, you could bring your palms together, bring hands behind the head, behind the neck. Let them rest there a few breaths. And then slowly with your next couple of breaths, step your hands back onto the mat. Lift onto hands and knees. And then from here, we'll lift back up into downward dog. So tuck the toes under, lift the pelvis up, and just shake your head a couple of times. We're going to next step into a high lunge. So from your downward dog, inhale, send your left leg up into the air behind you. And then exhale, step your left foot forward to your hands. And we're going to keep the right knee off the mat. Inhale, lift your back up and bring palms together in front of the chest. You can still adjust your feet and maybe bend the right knee a bit behind you. Inhale here. And then as you exhale, bring your right elbow to the outside of your left knee or thigh. So we'll come into a twist. We're going to either keep palms together or fingertips together. And just slowly, breath by breath, twist your chest towards the left. You could look up if you want, towards the ceiling. Maybe look down to the mat. Keep turning your chest towards the left. Take another breath in and out. And then as you exhale, release the twist. Come back to the center and lift your back up, and we'll stay in that lunge. Now bring your hands behind the head or behind the neck. You can interlace your fingers, let your shoulders soften. And from there, as you inhale, start to lift your chest bone up. And as you exhale, lean your head to your hands. So you're coming into a small back bend, but keeping the neck soft, keeping the shoulders soft, and keep your legs strong. The left foot pressing down. Take another breath in here. And then keep hands behind the head. Exhale, start to round your neck and round your back. Bring your elbows in and start to bring your head down towards that left knee. And try to create space between your belly and your left thigh. So really trying to curve the spine, open the back side of the spine. Take another breath in and out. And then stay down. Exhale, release both hands down to the mat. And inhale, swing that left leg back up into the air. A three-legged dog. You could move your left foot, the knee, the hip a bit, maybe opening the hips out to the left side if you want. But just allowing that left leg to release a bit. Good. And then slowly bring your both feet down to the mat. And from here, we're going to come forward into plank. So as you inhale, send your weight forward and maybe adjust your hands. Your hands are under your shoulders. And you can either keep your legs extended or you could bring your knees down to the mat. But try to hover the pelvis off the mat. And we'll stay here another 3 breaths. Keep pushing the mat away. You could come down onto elbows as well if the wrists are not happy in that high plank. Good. And then after your 3 breaths, slowly exhale, bring yourself all the way down onto the mat. And let yourself take a moment to rest, lying down on the belly. You could bring arms, hands next to your sides. You could rock the pelvis a bit from side to side. And take a couple of belly breaths in and out. Before we do those lunges on the other side, we're going to do a couple of back bends and we'll start with a locust pose. So now I suggest that we turn palms down to the mat and keep arms long next to your sides. Bring head to the center and start to reach your feet and head away from each other. Inhale. And then as you exhale, start to lift your chest and your legs off the mat. And we really don't need to go high up. Think about keeping that reach, that length going on through your back. And if you want, you can either keep your hands down on the mat or lift the hands off the mat. You can hover the arms, hover the hands off the mat. And take another breath or two in and out. It could be a challenging pose to breathe in. And then exhale slowly. Release your chest, your legs down. And you could turn one cheek on the mat, maybe now the other cheek. Turn your palms up towards the ceiling. Take another breath in and out. And then bring your head back to the center. We'll come into bow pose. And you have options here. So we're going to first bend the knees. So you turn your feet up towards the ceiling and just rock your hips, the pelvis a bit from side to side. Think about grounding the front of the pelvis onto the mat here. And then we'll bring the legs, the pelvis back to the center. And we'll reach arms behind us. See if you'd like to take hold of your feet or ankles or toes. If that doesn't feel good in the back or maybe in the legs, then don't hold your feet. You can do the bow pose without holding the feet. Just reach arms behind you. And inhale towards the chest. As you exhale, you could start to lift your chest again, a bit off the mat. So opening through the chest, through the shoulders. If you are holding your feet, you have an option to use the legs to reach gently back. And that might help you to come into a bit deeper back bend. It might open a bit more across the chest, shoulders. Be mindful, be gentle. Your legs are stronger than your upper body, so don't pull too hard. And again, keep breathing. You could look forward. You could also look down to the mat if that feels better in your neck. Take another breath in and out in your bow pose. And then exhale slowly, slowly release. Bring your chest, bring your legs down, bring your shins all the way down to the mat. And now step hands under shoulders. Lift yourself onto all fours and then round the back into child's pose for another few breaths. Just a counter pose. You can rock a bit from side to side with your hips. Maybe rock the head from side to side as well. And then we'll prepare for the lunges on the other side. So now bring yourself back onto hands and knees. And then tuck the toes under and lift up into downward dog first. Allows you to open the backs of the legs a bit after those back bends. And then we'll lift the right leg up. So as you inhale, send your right leg up into the air behind you. And exhale, step the right foot all the way forward to your hands. You can adjust the feet here. Check your right knees about on top of the right ankle. And then slowly lift your back up. And bring your palms together in front of the chest. We'll come into the twist first. So inhale here. And then as you exhale, twist to your right. So now think about bringing your left elbow to the outside of your right knee or thigh. And you could keep hands, palms together or just fingertips together and then twist over to your right. Again, you might keep looking up, so follow that twist with your gaze up towards the ceiling. Or maybe your neck is doing an opposite twist. So you could also look down to the mat, maybe look down to your right foot while the chest keeps turning out to the right. Take another breath in and out. And then with your next exhalation, release the twist, come back to the center and lift your back up, open the chest. And then we're going to slide hands behind the neck, behind the head again. Again, let the tops of the shoulders soften, still keep that right knee bent. And now inhale to your chest. Let the whole chest, the rib cage open, and exhale, lean into a gentle back bend. So let your neck stay rather soft because your head can lean onto your hands. Keep breathing towards the chest. Take another breath in and out. Let the exhalations ground your hips, your feet. And now keep hands behind the head. Exhale, start to close the chest, rounding the neck, rounding the back, and let your elbows close and bring your head towards the right knee. Again, really think about drawing in through the belly. So you're trying to create space on the back side of the spine. Create space between your belly and the right thigh. Breathe more into your back. Take another breath in and out. Your legs can shake. And then exhale, bring hands down to the mat. And we're going to inhale, swing the right leg up into the air. And again, we'll spend a moment here. You could move that right foot. You could bend and straighten the knee, move the hip, maybe even open the hips into kind of open three-legged dog. So rotate the pelvis a bit more to the right side. A bit like a dog peeing pose. Take another breath in and out. And then close your hips. Bring your both feet down to the mat and step your feet a bit wider apart. We're going to walk hands to the feet. So let your pelvis lift up. Walk hands to the feet and you arrive into a full forward bend. So we'll try to now shift the weight onto the feet. Maybe bend the knees a bit. And then just let the upper body hang down. If you want, you could hold your elbows. Maybe swing the upper body a bit from side to side. Take another breath in and out in your forward bend. And then if you are holding the elbows, release the hands, release the arms down, and now exhale, bend the knees quite deeply, and then start to roll the back up. Give yourself a couple of breaths to slowly come up. So that you can build your spine on top of the pelvis. You can open the chest, roll the shoulders. And then heel toe the feet back closer together. We're going to next come into some balancing poses. So we're going to start with Warrior 3, and we're going to step onto the right foot first. Make sure you have some room behind you and you have some room in front of you. And you could bring palms together in front of the chest, or you could have your arms next to your sides. You choose. And first thing about that right leg, that standing leg, ground down through that right foot and think about connecting your right sit bone down to the right heel through that back line of the right leg. When you feel steady there, we're going to extend the left leg behind us, reach head away from the left foot, open the chest. And then if you want to go further, exhale, start to tilt your back forward, your pelvis forward, the left leg coming up behind you. Now, we don't need to go all the way into horizontal line. We could stop anywhere where you feel you can still maintain that connection through right foot into your right hip. And you can maintain that long line from hip to your left foot. You might open arms next to the sides if you want. Take another breath in and out in your warrior 3. Again, wobbling is very fine. It's a balancing pose. We are managing standing up on one foot. And then inhale, start to lift yourself back up. Release both feet down. Roll the shoulders and bring hands onto your lower back behind the pelvis. And inhale, open the chest. Exhale, lean into a small back bend just to open a bit the front line. Pelvis could lean slightly forward. And then exhale, come back to center. Good, and from here we'll come into balancing pigeon, and we're going to switch the standing leg. I'll turn towards you. We're going to now stand on the left foot. So switch your standing leg over to left side, and we're going to open the right hip, bring right ankle onto the left thigh. Maybe already here, bend your left knee a bit so there's like a platform for that right ankle. Let the right hip open. And then again, you can bring palms together in front of the chest. Inhale. And as you exhale, start to again tilt forward from the pelvis. So think about really sending your bum back and keeping your back long to begin with. So keeping the back extended. It's a bit like going down into chair pose. And you could keep your back extended if you want. Or another option would be to round the back, bring fingertips to the mat, and then let even your head come down. Take a couple more breaths wherever you are, either back extended or fingertips on the mat. Trying to get a bit of a stretch in that right buttock, maybe the right thigh. So that's where we're sticking the bum back. And then if you have your hands down, now inhale, start to lift yourself back up. Bring palms together, and then we'll come all the way up. Close that right hip. You can lift the knee up. And exhale, release. Bring both feet down, both arms down, and just rock the weight a bit from one foot to the other. Good. And then for a moment, bring your weight onto both feet and just find Tadasana pose, the mountain pose. You can bring hands onto your belly. And breathe a few times in and out. Feel steady standing on 2 feet. And breathe all the way down to your hands, down to your belly. Just a moment of grounding before we balance on the other side. Good, and then release the arms. We're going to come into those balancing poses on the other side, but now we're going to do them in reverse order. So what we're going to do first is do that standing pigeon, standing on the right leg, so we can keep switching the standing leg. So bring your weight onto the right foot, and on this side we'll open the left hip again. You can bend your right knee a bit, then bring your left ankle onto the right thigh. Bring palms together, focus your eyes onto something that's not moving, And first inhale, think about reaching head away from your tail. And exhale, start to bend the right knee a bit more and think about tilting the pelvis forward. So you're sending your bum back. And that might mean you're tilting your back further forward. And you have the same option here. Either keep your back extended or exhale, round the back. Bring fingertips to the mat. Then round your neck, bring your head down as well. And wherever you are, wherever your standing pigeon is, take a couple more breaths in and out. Calm breaths in and out. And then after those couple of breaths, if you have your hands down, slowly bring your palms back together. We're going to inhale, start lifting up. Coming all the way up, close the left hip, lift the left knee up, and then release the foot down, release arms down. You can rock a bit from one foot to the other. And then we'll have warrior 3, now standing on the left foot. I'll turn again sideways. So now bring your weight onto your left foot, and first, again, we think about that standing leg, connection from the left hip down to the left heel. So think about from your left sit bone, long and strong line through the back of the leg into the left heel. And then we're going to extend the right leg behind us. And here, long line from head to the right foot. And you could either bring palms together in front of the chest, or bring arms next to your sides. Inhale. And then if you want, you can exhale, start to tilt forward from that left hip, from that standing leg hip. It's actually quite small movement from that standing leg hip as we try to keep the back and that lifted leg, that back leg in long line. So it's like a seesaw. We'll try to reach the head and the right foot now away from each other. Standing leg knee could be bent. Give yourself another breath in and out. And then from that warrior 3, bring your hands down to the mat. And then step the right foot down and step back into downward dog. And pedal the feet a bit. Let your hips move. Maybe shake the head from side to side. Good. And then we're going to continue into some lizards and into some pigeons from here. So first we're going to come on to the left side. As you inhale, send your left leg back up into the air. And then exhale, step left foot forward to your hands. And now we're going to bring the right knee down to the mat. So we're going to come into a low lunge, a low lizard. And you could release the right foot toes. Let the pelvis come slightly further down and forward. And this could be a good place to stay. We're trying to open now more on the front of that right hip and thigh. If you want, you could inhale, lift your back higher up. Maybe bring hands onto the left thigh. And again, that could be a good place. Think about what feels good for you to open the front of the right hip, thigh. Or you could go one more step further and bend the right knee behind you. Possibly even reach right hand to the right foot. But you could be anywhere along the spectrum. Where do you feel safe? But you get some sensation of opening in that right hip and thigh. And where you feel that you can breathe. We'll take another breath in and out. And then exhale, slowly release the right shin down if you've been holding the foot. And step your both hands to the inside of that left foot. And now we'll come into the Gecko pose. So I suggest walking the left foot a bit further out to the side. And you could allow your left hip to rotate open. You could even let the foot open, maybe lean just to the outer edge of that left foot. And that could be a good place. It's a bit like a winged dragon pose. So winging that left leg open. If you feel like going further down with the upper body, you could bend the arms, maybe step hands a bit further forward, or even come down onto your elbows. So you have options here. Make sure there's no pain in the knees, there's no sharp sensations in the hips. If there is, you can always come back higher up. And we'll take another couple of breaths in and out here. Now we're going quite deep into the hip area, so you might feel this on the left side. You might still feel this on the front of the right hip and thigh. Good. And then as you inhale, if you're down on the elbows, lift yourself back onto the hands and start to close the left hip. Walk the foot a bit closer to the center. You can pause there and then start to walk your left foot over to the right side of the mat. And now we'll come into our pigeons. So we're going to bring the left shin on the mat. And here we could slide the right leg a bit further back. If you feel that this pigeon feels bad in the knee, in that left knee or hip, I suggest lean the weight onto your left buttock and then bend your right knee behind you, so it's more like a deer pose, and that often takes some pressure off that front leg. Whichever shape in the legs, first inhale, open the chest. And then exhale, we start to lean down and forward. Possibly step hands further forward and stay on the hands. Or you could come again down onto elbows, forearms, maybe round your neck. So coming into a more kind of sleepy, restful pigeon. You can stay on your edge, what feels good. Around the hips, in your back, what feels safe in your knees. And there could be a bit of rocking from side to side if you want. Allow shoulders to soften. Take another breath in and out in your pigeon. And then with inhalation, start to lift your back up and step your hands on the mat. Open the chest and shift the weight back onto your hands. We're going to bring the right foot toes under and then swing the left leg up into the air. And then release both feet down to the mat. Breathe in and out in downward dog, maybe moving the hips a bit. And then we're going to come into those lizards and pigeon on the other side. So on this side, lengthen your right leg up into the air. And then exhale, step right foot forward. Again, close to the hands. Bring the left knee down. You can release the left foot toes. So that your right knee is about on top of the right ankle. And again, you could stay down here. Hands could stay down on the mat. Or if you want, start to lift the back higher up. Maybe leaning hands, arms onto the right side. Again, now we're looking for that opening in the front of the left hip, left thigh. And then there is that last option. If you want, you could bend your left knee behind you. Maybe even reach left hand to the left foot. any option that feels safe, feels like a good way to open that front line. And keep a subtle lifting up through the core. So we're not collapsed down, but we're supporting the hips with core. And breathe in and out. And then if you are holding that left foot, slowly release the left foot, shin down, and bring both hands onto the mat. Now on the inside of the right foot. And then we'll start to walk that right foot out to the right side of the mat. So coming into that gecko or winged dragon. And you can let the right hip rotate open. And again, staying on the hands could be a very good place to stay. Or if you want, maybe step hands a bit further forward, start to bend the elbows. Or even bring your elbows down to the mat. And there could be some rocking from side to side. Again, make sure you're not pushing too far. This should not be painful. There could be quite a big stretch, maybe in the right thigh, maybe in the left, kind of front of the hip, front of the thigh area, but no pain. Take another breath in and out in your gecko pose. Keep breathing down towards the hips. And then slowly, if you're down on the elbows, inhale up onto your hands. And then we're going to walk that right foot first back to the center. And then with support of your hands and arms, walk that right foot now over to the left side. So coming into the pigeon, and you can change the angle in your knee, let the shin come down. In pigeon, you might have your right foot now very close to the left hip. For some people, the foot might be closer to the hands. So let yourself play with angles in the knees, in the hips. And again, you have the option to lean on to the right buttock, bend the left knee. Both options are good options. And then when you have legs in place, inhale and exhale. You could start to round the back once more. Maybe stepping hands further forward. Or you might come down onto elbows, forearms. So in pigeon, we're looking for, again, opening around the buttocks, thighs. On the front leg side, it's maybe more in the buttock, maybe the hamstring, inner thigh, maybe the outside of the thigh area as well. And in the back leg, it's maybe more on the front of the hip. You can make sure there's no pain in the knees, no sharp sensations in your hips. And take another breath in and out. And then slowly, as you inhale, lift the back up. One more time, come up onto your hands and shift the weight onto the hands so that you could now tuck the left foot toes under. And then last time, send the right leg up into the air behind you. And bring both feet down to the mat. Wag the dog's tail once more. Rock the hips from side to side. And then come down onto your knees and bring yourself to sit down on the mat. If you're feeling as hot as I'm feeling, maybe take a sip of water at this point. And then come lie down on your back. We're going to end the practice lying down. We have still a couple of a bit more gentle movements lying down. Before we do them, just let yourself rest, maybe extend the legs for a moment. Allow your hands, your feet to soften now. They don't need to hold your weight any longer. They've done a lot already. If there's tension in the neck, you could rock the head from side to side. Also let the breath calm down. Couple more breaths in and out here, feeling the heavy pelvis sinking down, the hips releasing. Then we're going to come into one more twist. I'll give you a couple of options for the legs in this twist. First, bend your both knees, and you could either keep your legs like this and bring both knees to the right side of the mat. Or if you want, you could do the eagle legs. Bring your left thigh around the right thigh and then bring both legs down to the right side of the mat. Now the eagle legs might be quite strong around the hips and in the back, so if you feel it's not going to be your choice today, just release, kind of unravel the legs, have them resting on top of each other. You could open the left arm further out to the side, away from the legs. And then just breathe in this twist a few times. You could turn your head to one side or the other. Allow shoulders to soften. Take another breath in and out in your twist. And then exhale from the lower belly and bring your legs back up to the center. If the legs are twisted around each other, release that twisting, that crossing. And just rock the legs a bit from side to side. Rock the pelvis from side to side. And then we're going to do that reclining twist on the other side. So again, same options. Either keep your legs just next to each other. Bring both legs to the left side of the mat. Or if you want to do the eagle legs, bring your right thigh on top and around the left thigh. And then with that crossing, bring legs to the left side of the mat. And the right arm could open away from the legs if you want. Head could turn to one side or the other. And send a few breaths down towards the hips. Allow the hips, the back, the belly to soften. Let's take one more breath in and out. Then again, exhalation from the lower belly, a bit of core support. Bring your legs back to the center. Uncross the legs if you've had them in that eagle pose. And then give yourself a moment before we come into Shavasana pose. If there's a movement, if there's a pose you'd like to do, like hugging the knees in or just rocking from side to side, let yourself do those movements. Maybe there's nothing you really want to do other than Shavasana pose. If that's the case, just let yourself come down into your resting pose. We could take a few more breaths on our way into the final Shavasana pose. And then When you feel that you are ready to find that resting pose, just like in the beginning, this final pose could be anything. It could be lying down on the back, maybe knees bent, maybe you extend the legs. Or if you don't want to lie down on the back now, you're very welcome to lie down on your belly or come lie down on one side. Any pose, any shape where you can feel that you can rest, that you don't need to hold your body, you don't need to tense your body. A pose where you could bring your full awareness back to your breath. If you are lying down on the back, you have the option of bringing hands onto the belly or to the lowest ribs like we did in the beginning. And that way you can feel the breath in your hands as well. But give yourself a moment here to rest, to rebound from that practice. It was maybe quite strong around the hips. So again, notice how the hips feel now. Has anything changed from when we started the practice? And then just let yourself rest. We could spend another few breaths in this resting pose. Maybe a few times. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Sigh the breath out. Just exhale any tension there might be left in the body now. And we'll start to slowly wake up the body. So you could start to bring some gentle movement back to your fingers, to your toes. Wiggling the fingers, the toes. Move your hands, move your feet. Maybe circle the wrist joints, ankle joints. If you want, you could lengthen arms over the head, along the mat, along the floor, and stretch the whole body long from hands down to the feet. Maybe bend a bit from side to side if you want. And then soften the arms, the legs, and from your resting pose, roll down onto one side. If you've been on your back or on your belly, roll down onto either right or the left side. Pause there to breathe. And then in your own time, bring yourself up into a seat, into your own final seat. And that could be any pose, any easy seat of your choice. Give yourself just a few more breaths here, in and out, leaving your hips soft, leaving your back soft, leaving your shoulders soft. If it's part of your practice, you can bring your palms together in front of the chest. Bring the right and the left side to meet in the middle. Before you close your practice, thank yourself for bringing yourself, your body, your breath, your mind onto the mat today, into your practice. And I thank you very much for joining in. Namaste. Great. Thank you for joining in. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below. I'd love to hear how this practice went for you. Also, subscribe to the channel. I'll publish much more yoga videos in the future. And if you hit that little bell icon, you'll be immediately notified of the new video that I publish. I'll see you on the next video. Bye.